Hello, my name is Greg Stewart and I'm a sergeant with the Portland Police Bureau. I'm here today to talk about Portland's Neighborhood Involvement Location Program. Neighborhood Involvement Locations are the Portland Police Bureau's attempt to integrate the benefits of place-based policing with our commitment to community engagement. The program itself arose out of three primary concerns. The first concern was after nearly 2 decades of falling crime rates, we started to experience, beginning in 2009, an increase in crime. While it was not substantial, 5 to 6%, and it was mainly property crimes, we still didn't want to give up the gains that we'd made, and ideally we'd like to push crime lower. A second issue was that, again, like many departments coming out of the Great Recession, our uniform strength had shrunk considerably, both in terms of sworn and non-sworn personnel, and we'd seen a shifting of our sworn personnel to non-sworn positions, resulting in a fewer number of officers in the field. This left us in a position where we needed to basically do more with less. The program itself started as more of a conventional place-based policing initiative. However, as we went through the pilot phase, it quickly became apparent that both the community and internal command, in the form of our then Chief Mike Reese and our current Chief Lawrence O'Day, really wanted to emphasize this community engagement element. Inside of those three sort of primary considerations, we wanted to make sure that whatever we did, we knew that it worked, which meant that we'd need a strong research design. So as we began examining the problem and kind of breaking it out into its constituent parts, we kind of struck on a 3-part solution. The first part would be basically using evidence-based practices in the form of place-based policing to increase officer visibility and problem solving at high crime areas. Our second consideration had to do with staffing and the reduced resources. Unlike many agencies, the Portland Police Bureau has a relatively small number of officers to citizens. It's a city of about 600,000 people, and we have just over 900 sworn officers. This meant that our ability to basically throw officers at problems was limited, and we need to work kind of within the confines of our personnel strength. For us, this meant utilizing our computer-aided dispatch system, or CAD system, to program these calls as radio calls and integrate them into the daily activities of our officers. And then finally, we wanted to make sure that the activities that occurred in these areas were community-focused as opposed to enforcement-focused. So that meant encouraging activities like 15-minute walking patrols, meet and greets with businesses, or engaging in problem-solving activities inside these areas. Now, for the evaluation component, we realized that we'd want external partners. We've worked for probably the last decade with Portland State, so we approached them, and then we also approached Renee Mitchell, a sergeant from California, who'd successfully run a random control trial in our own department. We had decided that within this initiative, we were going to use what's called the random control trial to evaluate it. That meant having actual control locations and a random selection process. While not unheard of in policing, it's fairly rare. However, it's the most powerful design of experiment for determining causation. So we put our team together and ran the initiative. The initiative itself ran between March and September of 2014. It involved programming almost 16,000 calls into our CAD system, of which over 13,000 were taken by officers. Again, the primary activity of officers in those areas appears to have been high visibility foot patrol along with community engagement. We collected data both in the form of crime data as well as surveying citizens in the areas that we'd had both treatment and control for this program. We also ran focus groups and conducted surveys of the officers. At this point, we've collected the data and are working with the research team to analyze the data and see what the impact of our program has been. Generally speaking, the community seems to have appreciated the program. At the level of rank and file, we've backed off actually generating the calls ourselves and are now doing them on a request basis. We've seen significant and increasing demand from line-level officers to establish these calls to address problems such as car prowls or to expand opportunities to engage with the public. Some of our engagement opportunities, including setting up these calls so that district officers are reminded to attend local sporting events, or going to back to school events. Others of these calls include walking beats in areas where we've had significant car prowls, all the way down to a number of calls sort of designed around chronic livability issues. We always try to take the calls and combine a community engagement element with a policing element whenever possible. And again, to date this year, we anticipate running perhaps another 6,000 to 8,000 of these calls, following up on the 13,000 we ran last year, and are attempting to grow the program internally, again focusing on providing a high level of service to both citizens as well as officers who request assistance in setting these sorts of calls up.